Okay, so that's your realm on some of these successes you've had and how you're kind of igniting your world. Exploding significance is kind of the third gestation of kind of taking everything to a higher plane. What aspect of your work do you receive the greatest sense of significance from?
A big part of my philosophy, and really the heart and the core of WOW, is that people matter.
Hmm.
And when people feel like they matter, whether that's a business owner who, I've listened to and I've helped, or if it's an employee or whoever it is.
Yeah.
When those situations occur, you just can't put a price tag on it. It's just enormously fulfilling, very satisfying.
Now, what aspect of your consulting do you think empowers others the most?
I really think it's the status quo doesn't necessarily have to be your trajectory. And so I think a lot of times people get stuck in a rut, and individually, but also very much in businesses, because a business is run by people.
Yeah.
And so when that business is in a rut and they don't feel like they're capable, or they have the skill sets, or they have the market share, or they have the ability to go produce something more than what they already have.
Yeah.
When I can come in there and help them clarify maybe a vision that's even scary, but go, you know what? We can create that vision, but I also am audacious enough to think that we can create a strategy and a plan to make it happen.
Bam. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Interesting. Now, what groups do you feel are most impacted by your work? By your work, specifically where you receive the greatest amount of significance, your work with focusing on people. What groups do you feel are most impacted by that?
It's funny, in a lot of ways, again, part of what I call what I do is business consulting. However, a business doesn't need consulting. The people in the business need consulting.
Yeah.
So the groups that I see impacted are not just the business owners, not just the employees, not just the clients. But what is very impactful for me is to see, or to hear, or to engage with maybe a spouse of one of the owners of the company.
Oh, wow.
And when they say, because you've basically, done training for my husband, or you've helped him clarify some of these things, he's a better man at home.
Bam.
That's, that's really cool.
That is awesome.
That is really cool.
Now, how has your work affected your family and relationships with them?
It's been tough. It's one thing to kind of say, hey, this is what I think I want to do. I've been very fortunate. My wife is amazingly supportive, extremely encouraging. But, starting out as a small business owner myself, consulting other business owners, it's definitely been a rocky road, kind of an uphill battle at times. And I think there's always kind of the tendency to get a little bit of from maybe your parents or from other family members, kind of who do you think you are? What made you think you can do that? What gives you the right to jump out there on your own and do this? And so it really is holding that vision very clearly and saying, you know what, I'm not going to listen to the chatter. I'm just going to push forward.
Interesting. Okay. Now, how has your work that you're doing affected your friends and your relationships with them?
I've actually been very fortunate. A lot of my friends have used my services.
Bam,
and it's been very rewarding to kind of get that. It is validation,
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's very cool to have not only a service that you can provide to a friend that you really care and love about, but also for them to walk away and go, that was really cool. Maybe I didn't expect that Jason could do that, or that he could impact my business like he did. And so ultimately, that's been pretty rewarding.
Can you recall the first breakthrough you think you had regarding your work for others? The first time you had this breakthrough, either internally or externally, where you said, "Bam, that's a breakthrough. That's what I've been trying to build." Can you trace that to anything, any event or moment?
Actually, there was a very distinct event, and again, that was kind of when the Architect of WOW was born.
Okay.
I had actually hired a coach for myself. This was about 2.5 years ago, and at the time I was calling myself a marketing strategist.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this. He said, you know, can I see one of your business cards? So I handed him a business card, and he said, marketing strategist. What in the world is that? Do you do websites? Do you do direct mail? Do you do email campaigns? Do you skywrite? Like, what does that mean? You're a marketing strategist?
Yeah.
So he said, you know, you're a marketing guy and you market yourself really poorly.
Oh, wow.
And that was a blow to hear, and yet I knew what he was saying was legit. It was the truth. And so he said, you know, I'm going to challenge you to go home, and I want you to think about it. You need to come up with something that's more, you know, a little bit more descriptive about what you do. And I remember going home that night feeling a little defeated, a little depressed. And ironically, that very night, you know, call it divine intervention, I don't know, but I woke up the next morning and the Architect of WOW literally was born overnight.
Oh,
and
wow.
immediately I started calling myself the Architect of WOW.
I remember that too. Yeah.
And that was a pivotal point where a marketing strategist, if you think about it, you know, it doesn't sound people-oriented. It doesn't sound like you're trying to impact and grow the people and develop them. It just sounds like it's a marketing thing, and that's boring, and I really didn't have any attachment to that. It was just the best thing that I could find to describe it. And when the Architect of WOW was born, really, you know, the only thing that can say wow is a person. Mm-hmm. And when they experience a wow moment, they say, wow.
Yeah.
And so for me, that was, again, that was an overnight thing that happened.
That's cool. Now, what would you say, talking about the phase of exploding significance, if you could reach out and grab a swath of people and say, okay, this is what I have to say to you, to get them launched into turning whatever it is they do, whether it's like you're very fortunate to have your work and your human service, your philanthropia tied very tightly and neatly together. For other people, it's not so tight and neat. Regardless of that, if you could reach out and grab a bunch of people, what would you say to them to begin serving others with their current skill sets in their own areas?
I think we overcomplicate it. I don't think it's as hard as we make it sound. You know, for me, it was finding what pricked my heart, what caused me to go. You know, I'll never forget. And this was one of the first WOW experiences that I myself ever experienced, where I walked away and said, "Wow," you know. It was a Friday afternoon. I was on my way to meet a client, and it was right at noon. So I stopped at my local Chick-fil-A to grab a quick lunch, and the place was packed. I mean, it was raining. It was a mess, and so I was going to get in the drive-through line, but it was wrapped around the building. And right as I was pulling up, someone pulled out, so I pulled in, and didn't have an umbrella with me, so I opened my car door, preparing to get wet. And what I was greeted with was the operating manager, the partner actually of the Chick-fil-A, standing there with a Patio umbrella. And he said, "How you doing today, sir?" And he escorted me from my car to the door.
Wow.
And for me,
that's rare.
That guy's making good money. Chick-fil-A's do well. And he's walking around in wet shoes. He could have been in the back. He could have been taking the day off. He could have been doing anything.
Yeah.
But for him, he recognized, you know what, it's raining.
Wow.
I'm just going to meet their need by sheltering them from the rain. It wasn't a massive thing that he did. He was just serving his clients by not just providing them the food, but providing them from the elements. And again, it doesn't have to be a big thing. I believe that some of the ingredients that I talk about for WOW, all surprise and delight. It doesn't take a lot to wow someone. It really doesn't, because we've become very accustomed to businesses who treat us like just recyclable customers, and they don't care about us. They don't see us. They don't see Jason Northington. They see just another guy at the counter, and just another guy, and just another guy. But when they recognize, no, it's a person, how can I do something small to make them feel better to me, that's what it's all about.
Wow, that's good.